Hey everybody, it's Brad at Dayport Brothers LLC out in Versailles, Ohio. Going to do another walk around video followed by an operational video on this 1999 Case 1840 skid steer that came in and we're putting up for sale. Like always, I'll walk around, I'll talk about the features and functions, I'll get up close to everything, show you everything that I see, talk about anything that I know on this particular machine. Then of course we'll fire it up, we'll run it through its paces. We'll show you the front pins, we'll let you hear the engine, lift the loader, dump the bucket, drive it around, show you it turns strong, show you the hydraulics are strong. As always, if you're in the market for a used skid steer, a used piece of construction equipment, or a used piece of ag equipment, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Your likes and subscriptions help other people who are looking for equipment find our videos and find our machines, and we truly do appreciate it. Sorry in advance if the audio is off a little bit. It's gotten a little breezy out here today. I'll try to shield the microphone the best I can. Like I said, this one is a 99 Case 1840 OROPS H pattern controls or case controls, pre-emissions Cummins diesel engine. That is a 54 horse diesel engine. Front auxiliary hydraulics. Of course, it is a standard skid steer mount quick attach. 1,400 pound lift capacity, 5,558 pound operating weight, and this one has 2,329 hours. So here in a little bit we'll fire it up. We'll show you the front pins up here. There's a little bit of play in them, nothing I wouldn't expect for a 99 model machine with 2,400 hours. You'll be able to see that here in a little bit, but as I get up closer you'll see it's a pretty darn straight machine. It definitely has been, if nothing else, it's been touch-up painted at some point. I don't know that the whole thing's been painted, but I'll kind of get up close to everything and show you here. It definitely has had some touch-up paint over the years, but it's nice and straight underneath. Not a bunch of rust or anything like that. Just typical probably paint fade and some small scuffs and scratches and stuff. You'll see up here rock chips. Front and side of this cylinder's got quite a few rock chips on it there. Down here at the loader arms, again, same thing. Sorry, it's kind of breezy there. I'll try to shield this microphone the best I can. As you can see there though, rock chips, nothing out of the ordinary there. Nothing that looks like it's been cracked or welded or plated anywhere though. Nice and straight here. Again, just typical paint chipping around the outer edges. You can see here, loader arms nice and straight. Nothing that looks like it's been cracked or welded or anything like that. Like I said, there's some overspray here. You can tell it's been touched up at a minimum. Down here, this is pretty straight. A little bit of a small dent right here. Everything else looks pretty good here. Looking at the front tire on this side, I'm gonna say we are 70% or so tread depth. I think I'm being very fair there. Little bit of kind of, for lack of a better way, just like scuffs, small chips out of the centers of these tread bars all the way across there. No weather checking that I can see here. And then looking at the front rim on this side, again, as you can see there, just typical paint scuffs, scratches, starting to peel just a little bit right in there. It's got some dings right around the outer edge of the rim. Again, I'd say those have been painted at some point. Coming back here, looking at the rear tire on this side, again, matches up really well as far as tread depth. And again, it's got some small gouges, if you will, right there in the middle of those tread bars. No weather checking here on this tire. And then taking a little step back, looking at the rim on the rear side, rear tire of this side. Again, pretty similar to the front one. I'd say those rims have been painted at some point. You can see some paint chips and scuffs and scratches here and there. Looking inside of the frame here. Again, just typical scuffs, scratches. Paint wore off back here. Surface rust just where your paint has chipped off. No, doesn't look like it's been in salt or fertilizer. Doesn't have any kind of rust like that. Just your typical surface rust where the paint's wore off. Looking at this back corner here, pretty darn straight there. No huge dents or dings that I'm seeing. Just, again, scuffs, scratches, paint chips. Nothing out of the ordinary for a used skid steer. Coming around the back. Looking at that rear door, a couple of these fins, there's a couple, little bit of a dent here and here. Otherwise, everything else looks pretty decent there. again, just scuffs, scratches, nothing out of the ordinary for a back door on a skid steer, nothing egregious. You can kind of see it. I'd say there's some fins in the radiator. I'll try to show that when I open it up a little later, that have some bows in them. Nothing leaking, but there are some fins in there that are tweaked. Down here at the bottom, I would say they have welded that on this bracket here for a tie down spot. But like I said, backside of that door, just typical scuffs, scratches there. Up top, pretty square, same thing here. Everything looks pretty square there. We'll come back and look at the ROPS a little later. Looking at this rear corner here, again, I'm not seeing any huge dents or dings. Scuffs and scratches, nothing out of the ordinary for a used skid steer. But no huge dents or dings there. Nothing that looks like it's been busted up too bad or anything like that. Pretty straight for a 99 model machine. You know, we're talking 26-year-old skid loader. Looking at the rear tire on this side, tread depth, again, pretty similar to the other sides. I'd say it's as good, if not just slightly better. Still got some of those small little nicks here in the center of the tread bars. Outsides look pretty good. I'm not really seeing any weather checking there in that tire. And then taking a little step back, looking at the rear rim on this side, again, you can see some paint flaking off here and there. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Again, some dings on the outer edge. Looking at the front tire on this side, again, matches up really well to the other three that we've already looked at. Plenty of tread life left here on these tires. Again, starting to get some, there's some small gouges and stuff just in that center. Call it 2 or 3 inches there on the tires. Not really seeing any weather checking to speak of here. And taking a step back, looking at the front rim. Again, paint peeling and flaking off around the outer edges. A couple little dings here and there on that outer edge. A couple little spots in the center there where the paint's peeling. And then in here on the side of the frame, same thing here on this side as the other side, just your typical scuffs and scratches. Nothing I wouldn't expect for a 26-year-old skid steer. And looking here, again, a little bit of a dent right there. Some paint chipped off, nothing out of the ordinary there. Looking at the loader arm on this side, again, you can see some overspray here where they've touched up. Nothing that looks like it's been cracked or welded or plated here on this side of the load, on this loader arm. Again, scuffs, scratches. Looking at the back side of that skid steer mount plate, I'm not seeing anything down here that looks like it's been cracked or welded or plated anywhere. Everything looks pretty well normal there. Higher capacity case bucket. It's got a bolt on, kind of a tooth bar. Bottom section of that bucket, there's a little bit of a bow there in that middle section. I don't know how well you guys can see it. There's a little bit of a bow there. No holes or anything in the bucket. Still plenty of life left in that bucket, but there is a little bit of a bow there in that middle. We'll go back here and we'll take a look in the engine compartment. First from over here on the side, try to get this camera in the best as I can. Like I said, pre-emissions Cummins diesel engine. A little bit of dust and dirt in here, but as you can see there, nice and dry. Side of the block down there is good and dry. I don't see any oil or diesel running anywhere. Everything looks really good here, especially for a 26-year-old machine. But as you know, these Cummins engines were very, very good engines. All right, so this is the oil cooler that I was telling you. From the backside, you can see there's some fins down here in the bottom that are tweaked a little bit. Nothing's leaking there. The main radiator for the engine, all the fins are actually pretty darn straight there. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's more just the fins on that oil cooler. And I can't take this off, but I'll try to come right here. You can kind of see just the top. You can see the valve covers here and the top side over here in there pretty well. Again, like I said, nice and clean in there. No oil or diesel running anywhere. I'm gonna try and get in here just a little bit better. Let that camera adjust for the light. There you can see in there again, nice and clean and dry on this side. Try not to bump the microphone too much. The muffler's in my way here. There, I can sneak it in just a little farther. You can see on this side, everything looks pretty darn good in there. Take a look at the ROPS, the operator station. Everything's nice and straight here. Nothing out of the ordinary there. The backside, top of the ROPS, everything looks really good there as well. Same thing over here on this side. Nothing out of the ordinary there. ROPS looks good. Little bit of a dent right there. It's bent in just a little bit on that outer edge. There you can kind of see. Up here on the front face, pretty darn straight. Just your typical, again, scuffs, scratches. Little bit of cement splatter, just a few speckles of it over here and a couple down there in the bottom. I don't know if you can see them. That step looks good. Auxiliary hydraulics look good. Down here, the floorboard, everything looks good there. Taking a look at the seat. Bottom portion of that seat cushion's good. I don't see any cuts or tears there. Same thing there with that backrest. Everything looks pretty well normal there. No cuts or tears. Back here, everything's nice and solid. Again, not a bunch of rust or anything up here or down here. Like I said, I don't think it's been in salt or fertilizer or anything like that, because it doesn't show that kind of rust or anything. Just typical surface rust. It is case controls, H pattern controls, joystick on this side here, the top piece. That this hard plastic starting to get wore, as you can see. Nothing out of the ordinary for a 99 model machine. Same thing on this side, that hard plastic's a little wore. Handle's good though. Throttle's good. 23, 29.5 on hours. Hour meter does work. All your panels up here on the display, everything's very legible. Up here where the cylinders come up to the back here, nothing looks like it's been cracked or welded or plated anywhere. Same thing over here. I would say, I don't believe that cutout is factory. I think they cut that out so you can actually see the cutting edge when you're sitting in the seat. In the very back of that bucket, you can see right there, you can see down to it. So I'd say that's not a factory thing. I'd say they cut that out so they could see the cutting edge when they're sitting in the seat with this higher capacity, that higher backed bucket. All right, like I said, it's a 1999 case 1840. 23.29 on the hours. Lots of photos on our website. That's listed down below in the description. If you have any questions, comment down below. We'll try to answer them for you. We'll get that door shut. We'll fire it up and get right into an operational video.